talk about something else about Muhammad's hypocrisy and Muhammad making up his rules as he went along?
Yeah. Always, always, always.
Okay, so this is look how specific this is. Now, this is a bit of my conjecture because it makes sense in the light of what I just showed you before. Muhammad has one rule, he does something, and then he gets rid of that punishment. There's another incident. So Muhammad says, Sunan Nasai 3360. It was narrated from An-Numan bin Bashir that the Prophet said concerning a man who had intercourse with his wife's slave woman. So, Prophet Muhammad, what should we do with a man who has sex with his wife's slave woman? So, Muhammad said, in all his wisdom, he said, if she lets him do it, then flog him with 100 stripes. But if she did not let him, meaning, again, there's no consent of the slave woman. It's the consent of the wife, whether you can fuck his slave girl or not. And then said, I will stone him to death. So if your wife allows you to have sex with her slave girl, then 80 lashes, 100 stripes. If you do it secretly, then stone him to death. This is the ruling Prophet Muhammad has given. But then guess what happens? We all know what happened with this girl, the same girl, Maria Kiptia. And if you don't believe me, because, we have said this before, people say, no, Harish, you're lying. Nope, we're not lying. Let's just have a listen to what your own cleric, Dr. Yasir Qadi, says about this whole incident. Let's have a listen.
Incident narrated about Maria, and then we are done with the story of Maria. And this is an incident that the books of tafsir mention more than the books of seerah, because the Quran was revealed for this incident, and therefore the books of tafsir mention this story. And once again, so with Maria, there's all of these mini stories.
This is a tafsir.
Problematic from one perspective, and this is also one of them. And again, I reiterated, it better you hear it from me than from others. And also, this is in the Quran, so you can't really this is a verse in the Quran.
It's in the Quran, and I'll show you that as well. So unless you hear from the Islamophobes like us, you better hear it from the an Islamic
from the horse's mouth.
Yes, horse's mouth. There you go. So listen to what he's saying. So Muhammad said, anyone who has sex with his wife's slave girl, either stone him or give him 100 stripes. But then he does this.
It is reported in Tabari that, and many other books of tafsir, that one day Hafsa went away and she was not going to be at home. And so the Prophet called Maria to the house of Hafsa. And it so happened that Hafsa returned earlier than she was supposed to, and she saw Maria leaving her house. So she became extremely enraged.
So he censored that video. I'll find the link and give you the reference, what actually happened. So he said, so Maria Kiptia Muhammad didn't call, what did he send her SMS or something? That, hey, come over to my house?
Yeah.
Come over, even that's pretty bad. So what happened, Maria Kiptia basically was already there. She was given to Muhammad by an Egyptian king as a slave. Muhammad passed it on to Hafsa, his wife, his third wife or fourth wife at that time. So what did Muhammad do? He says, he comes home, he sees Maria Kiptia. In Tabari, it's written in this, I'm not exaggerating. He sends Hafsa to her father, Umar. He lied. He says, oh, Hafsa, your father is calling for you. So she goes to her father, Umar. Umar says, no, I didn't call for you. Dang, 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 the bells ring in her head. She goes, oops.
Like.
I have left my colorful husband with one sexy Egyptian girl. She runs back, and then she catches him on her bed.
Got caught red-handed, mate, in the act.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Al-Jalalain, it says, "O Prophet, why do you prohibit?" So this is the Quranic verse that came in response to that. O Prophet, why do you prohibit, meaning sex slaves, yourself from what Allah has made lawful for you? You can have sex with your sex slaves, doesn't matter. Seeking the approval of your wives like Hafsa, and Allah is forgiving and merciful. So this is the tafsir of that. Al-Jalalain said, "O Prophet, why do you prohibit yourself from what God has made lawful for you in terms of your Coptic handmaiden Maria Kiptia, when he lay with her in the house of Hafsa, who had been away, but who upon returning, catches you on your bed, on her own bed, became upset. Now, this is just what became upset by the fact that this has taken place in her own house and on her own bed. She caught him. Boom, boom. Huh?
He'd really need like Shaggy's "Wasn't Me," like that song is just playing in the back.
So let's listen to the rest. And he came in
and she caught me red-handed.
Yeah, so Yasir Qadhi kind of censored it here, but again, the point is same. But listen to his logic.
Yeah.
And she became irritated with the Prophet ﷺ, and she said that, Ya Rasulullah,
you banged her.
Is that how much? How do I translate this?
Yeah, how do you, mate?
You have for me, or is that what you think of me? In my house and on my day.
And on my bed,
day,
on my bed, Yasir Qadhi.
And on my day, and like it's my turn in the rotor.
Yeah, it's my turn. We already know your penis is not going to work again.
On the notice board, the rotor. It's my night. Yeah.
Now I'm going to skip this.
Prophet ﷺ continued to placate her and calm her down, and she basically was very emotional.
Yeah, why wouldn't she be? Yeah, poor that bitch. She's angry that she gets her one turn after a week, and then you've cheated on her with her own slave girl. And
you sent her away, mate, on a fake pretense that her father was calling for her or something.
And the prophet is like, no. Prophet's like, no, calm down. And look, Yasir Qadhi, he actually threw him under the bus. Look.
And until eventually she made the Prophet ﷺ promise to never ever see Maria again. And the Prophet ﷺ said, I have made her haram for myself.
Ooh.
Okay, khalas, I give up basically. Maria is haram for me.
Haram for me.
I will never see Maria. I swear to you by Allah, I'm never going to see Maria again. And he told Hafsa, he made Hafsa basically keep this between the two of them.
Yeah, don't tell anyone.
He said, do not tell Aisha.
And
this shows, and here's the point here, that these types of incidents,
you know how embarrassing it is, because in Pakistan they tease each other that, oh, you slept with your maid girl. That just, I mean, maids are obviously humans as well, but it just said nokrani ko bhi nahi choda, meaning, you know, like you didn't even. You're so horny, you're so desperate, because again, these are closed societies. Literally, that is frowned upon. But literally, this is what their prophet, the most revered person, did.
Yeah.
Despite of all these wives and the women he had in his life, he's like, Hafsa, your daddy's calling for you. She goes, comes back. What he sees, he's banging her on her own bed. Anyway, listen to this.
The image that some Muslims have, of
that's the
our
false
Prophet
image.
Literally makes him superhuman.
Yes.
So when they hear these narrations, the image they have formed in their minds crumbles.
Yes.
And the problem comes that this image should not have been in their minds.
All right. Yeah.
Our Prophet, was he human or not?
Yeah. A very horny one.
For sure he was. Right?
A very horny one.
Why do you guys say he's the best? Exactly.
But at the end of the day, he's a human being.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's a human being.
Self-contradictory is perfect. Humans, by definition, are not perfect. We are fallible creatures.
But also, Nuria, look at this. Him saying that he's a human. Meaning, Yasir Qadhi also thinks this is not the
behavior of a prophet.
Best behavior. Because Muslims think person with the best behavior, the best behaved person would not do such a thing. But Yasir Qadhi said, but he's only human. No shit. That's what we're saying. He's just a human.
We're saying a very bad one, morally all over the place.
Yeah, it's actually very bad as well. Very bad. Yasir Qadhi, would you do that? Yasir, would you do this, Professor Qadhi? Would you tell your wife, hey, Mrs. Qadhi, your daddy is calling for you. And when she comes, she catches you doing boom, boom. Would you do this, Yasir Qadhi? He wouldn't.
Because he's probably better than his prophet.
He's way better than his prophet.
That they revere.
Yeah, listen to the rest of it.
And so, yes, he wanted Maria. And it is halal for him to have Maria.
Yeah, halal.
And he now wants to placate Hafsa. So he promises not to see. And he does not want Aisha to find out.
She won't let it go.
Exactly. The fear of a wife, what it can do. right? This is the reality as well. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with this image at all. But the first time somebody hears it, again, because of the image that they have constructed, something is wrong. But in reality, this is human nature. All of this is completely human.
It's human nature. We all get horny and we all want to shag our wives.
Just like the genocide he committed is human nature.
Yeah. It's human nature. Genghis Khan did that. They all did it. It's just human nature. The only problem is we just don't call them the best example for entire mankind. That's the only difference.
And
it's human nature that his wife is getting angry. So here's the Quran. So as you heard it from Yasir Qadhi himself, this is what happened. He said, first of all, no punishment. Oh, sorry, there's a punishment for those who sleep with their wives, slave girls. And then he does this, what Yasir Qadhi just explained to you. It's written in this Tafsir Jalalain. Here are the Quranic verses in relation to that. Not only, Nuria, this is proper gaslighting. This is proper victim blaming. Look at this one. So O Prophet, why do you prohibit yourself from what Allah has made lawful to you? Meaning you are allowed to have sex with your sex slaves, seeking to please your wives. You're scared of, like, you want to please your wives? Screw this. Don't worry about your wives. Allah is all forgiven, blah, 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 blah. Allah has already ordained for believers the way to absolve yourself from your oaths. So as Yasir Qadhi said, Muhammad made because Muhammad was scared that Hafsa is going to go and tell Aisha. So Muhammad's going to say, he promised in a hurry that I will never have sex with Maria, your handmaid, your girl again, your slave, your maid girl ever again. But here, Allah is always looking out for the best interest of Muhammad's pee-pee.
Yeah,
Allah
always.
says, no, always. Allah is he's more
Allah
interested
is
in
not
Muhammad's sexual.
Muhammad at all. Allah's like Muhammad's wingman, the best wingman.
He's a wingman. We all want that wingman, yeah? You know, like when we go to a nightclub, we want a wing lady, like, hey, can you talk to that girl for me? No, but Allah is always there. Allah is saying, don't worry about that oath the promise that you just made. Don't worry about it. You can still keep on banging Maria Kiptia. The same Maria Kiptia who was
Allah's
later on.
very sex-free when it comes to Momo, yeah.
Yeah. And as I said, the very Maria Kiptia who was accused of having sex with this other guy who didn't even have a penis. So she was poor girl. She was also given lashes later on because she was like, oh, well, you can bang me on your wife's bed. I can bang some other dude on your bed. Go, girl. Anyway, so look at this gaslighting. So Allah has already ordained for believers to absolve you from your, so you can break your oaths. Allah is all forgiving. Look at this. Why does he have to say this, waste this paper? Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. And then again, and he is all knowing, all wise. Stop freaking praise sucking.
But he's also low-key scared of Aisha.
He's basically sucking his own penis all the time. Anyway, remember when the Prophet had once confided something to one of his wives, then when she disclosed it, so basically Hafsa couldn't help herself. She told Aisha. So
this is like Real Housewives now playing out. The Real Housewives of Muhammad, season 1.
Yeah. So remember when the Prophet said, you had made the oath that, hey, don't tell Aisha. But they went on. Hafsa went on and told Aisha. And Allah made it known to him. He presented to her part of disclosed and overlooked a part. So Allah told Muhammad that,
Which part did he overlook?
Yeah, exactly. Because he heard something and he didn't hear the rest. So Muhammad found out that Hafsa had told Aisha. So Muhammad is saying Allah told Muhammad that Hafsa has ratted him out, but Allah didn't tell him the rest. How convenient.
Allah just stopped half of it, not all of it.
When he informed her of it, she claimed, who told you this? Yeah. Like, how did you know? Allah's like, oh, Allah told me this. Okay. It will be better if your wives both turn to Allah independent. So now they're gossiping. They're angry.
This guy, my God, the form.
The form on this guy. So he first cheats on her. Then he says, you need to repent telling.
It will be better.
For telling Aisha, for your hearts have certainly faltered.
Jeez.
But if you continue, look at this Allah, the wingman. But if you continue to collaborate against Muhammad, then Allah then know that Allah Himself is his wingman. Yeah, Allah is his wingman. He says it here, right here. He says Allah Himself is his wingman. And Gabriel, the righteous believers, and the angels, everyone,
all his wingman as well. He has a whole posse.
They're all there looking after
groupies for Muhammad's sex-positive life.
Now comes the threats of divorce. Perhaps if he were to divorce you all, you think that you guys are conspiring against him, bitching about him. You guys are stopping him from having rightful sex.
Actually, I think it's and I think this was in the Hadith, actually. I'm going to talk about this as one of the main issues with the Quran, but this is one of the three things that God agreed with Umar on. So this was actually Umar's line. He saw this all kicking off between the wives.
Yes.
And he basically said that this is his brainchild, that if he were to divorce you, he'd get better wives.
Yes.
And that's completely where Umar's made it into the Quran, like verbatim.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, maybe now.
Look at the wingman continuing though as well. He's not limiting him to either just previously married or virgin girls. It's previously married or virgins. Anyone would be better than you. Any single woman.
Anyone, yeah. You.
They're not closing themselves off at all.
Yeah, I mean, how dare you?
And then how much more wingman superpower can you get when you say any woman who wants to, with his consent, can offer herself up to him? I mean, that is just giving you a free pass, really.
Omar actually bragged about it, and he said, he said this is Sahih al-Bukhari 402. He says, my Lord Omar agreed with me in three things. I said, oh Allah's Messenger, I wish we took the station of blah, 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 veiling of women. And this verse, so the verse of the veiling of women was revealed once the wives of the Prophet made a united, this one, once the wives of the Prophet made a united front against the Prophet, and I said to them, it may be if he divorce you.
The exact words that are in the Quran. These are Umar's words, not God's.
All that his Lord will give him instead of you, wives, better than you. So here in the bracket it says, chapter 66, verse 5. So this is it. Verse 5, here is that verse. There you go. What happened to the challenge of Allah that anyone can you bring a better verse?
Produce a chapter like it.
Yeah, Umar created a verse like you. Perhaps
Umar did it on the spot.
Perhaps if you were to divorce you all, the Lord will replace you with better was who are submissive to Allah. So this first part is actually exact copy of Umar. And Umar was basically looking out for his daughter Hafsa because she was at the center of the controversy because that was Umar's daughter. He was saying there's another detailed part of that chapter of that episode as well in one of the Hadith books. I need to find that one where Umar said that, hey Hafsa, you're not as cute as Aisha. Muhammad will divorce you. What are you going to do? He won't divorce Aisha. Umar probably knew that he loved her so much that he invented this new verse of 4 witnesses and all that. But Hafsa was a little bit chubby or something. So this is how Muslim historians see that. So he said, Hafsa, you're not the favorite one. So, back down from this front against Muhammad. Don't complain about him having sex with your girl. So anyway, but to make matters worse at the end. Yeah, so we remember this. This is what he said initially. If 100 stripes or stone him to death if a man has sex with his wife's slave girl. But look what happened afterwards. Sunan ibn Majah, 2552. The case of a man who has intercourse with the slave woman of his wife was referred to the Messenger of Allah. But Messenger of Allah is like, I've done this. Why are they asking me about this? So people are asking, what should we do with those people? Should we punish them? So Prophet Muhammad, he did not stipulate any legal punishment for him. I have done it. This is the same thing. So these guys are so stupid.
He had to cave in though, because remember even last week, I think we were saying that by his own rules, the way he's violated his own rules, he wouldn't last a day with the punishment that he dished out to other people.
Same thing, Nuria. Another one. Look at this. Because Prophet Muhammad, we all know he robbed caravans and he was a plunderer, yeah?
Yeah.
So what is the punishment for a thief? Cutting off of hands, yeah? In the Quran. But look at this. He made another exception. The Prophet said, cutting off hand is not to be inflicted on one who plunders, but he who plunders
What?
because Muhammad himself was a plunderer.
This
He made up this rule
man.
as well. He made up this rule as well. It's like,
Oh my
basically,
God.
if you steal, then your hand will be cut off. But if I steal, no. If you sleep with your wife's slave girl, then you have to be stoned to death, but not me.
Yeah.
What was the other one? She had another one. Yeah, treat your slaves one. If you slander your slave girl, chaste slave girl of adultery, you'll be flogged, given 100 lashes. But if I do it, sorry, prophet privilege.
Yeah.
The guy took them for a ride, and these idiots, okay, maybe at that time all these companions didn't know what was going on and they couldn't reconcile all of these facts, but now these clerics know this, but they still don't do anything about it. They're like,
Yeah.
they're still being fooled hundreds of years later, a millennium
Yeah.
later.
Literally goes back to that man's line in that email to you. Just millions of people conned by this man.
Yeah. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.